gardening, and they see options and different careers they can have. And she has a PowerPoint for you all that can kind of show, and she can talk about what she has done this year and past years.
Okay, ag has become really important to me to incorporate in my classroom because of the hands-on aspect. I feel like kids learn more when they get their hands on, and it's the things they remember too. At Gooch, we have raised garden beds, and we have a strawberry bed. The garden beds were built by Quartz Corp. And so this year I wrote a grant for Farm Bureau, the Going Local grant. And we are going to bring in Lakeview Nursery and help get us our gardens growing. We also have a strawberry garden that was started several years ago by 4-H. It's just kind of been left to the wayside. So we're trying to fix that up and bring in some of our local people. And so this was last year, the kids, where they planted and what they picked, and we had tons of tomatoes and cucumbers this past year. We've also been doing Christmas trees. We try to bring in local people. We went to Snow Hill Christmas Tree Farm last year. We didn't this past year just because the way everything was. But this year I did another grant where we brought in Jeff Vance and Rodney Buchanan and Sharon Rowland, and so the kids got to make Christmas tree wreaths as a gift for their parents, and they learned how to tie a bow to it. And Rodney Buchanan came in and talked about his Christmas tree farm. And so all of these people, Jeff has worked in Mitchell County, he works in Avery County now, but they're all local to our area. When I taught third grade, we talked about dirt, what's in the dirt, and so this was just an experiment. Where they brought the dirt from their house, and we shook it up so we could see the layers and to see what kind of dirt that each person had in their house, and they thought that was neat. Pumpkins. We like to do the pumpkin jack, where we dissect the pumpkins and then we put it in a jar and close it, and we watch it grow and sprout, and then we can plant it in this, later on into the garden, and hopefully a new pumpkin will grow. Again, we just get in that pumpkin, we dissect it, count seeds, bring in math as well with that. This is one that's been really neat. Getting the kids to taste things is always fun because a lot of them will not taste a lot of things. But we have these ag mags you can see in the picture on the right at the bottom that North Carolina Ag and Classroom puts together. And it's great little publication that tells more about, the commodities of North Carolina, and peanuts is one of those. And so we taste test peanuts. I order them from nuts.com. We make our own peanut butter, and it's amazing the kids that don't like peanut butter like the homemade peanut butter. So it's been really neat to see in the past. I always check to see if there's allergies. So far I've been lucky and I've not had allergies. This year my plan is to go a little bit deeper. We are going to be taking raw peanuts and planting them in pots and watching them grow in the classroom, and then they'll get to take that pot home with instructions on how they can put it in a bigger pot and grow peanut plant in a pot. So I'm kind of excited about that. That's next week. So, and then my favorite thing. Well, I love second grade. Please don't ever take me out of second grade. Embryology. This has become. I didn't grow up on a farm. But when Aspen, my son, was in second grade, they did embryology, and they talked about taking the chickens home. And of course, your kids are going to be like, Mom can have a chicken, Mom can have a chicken. So I was like, sure. So I went to Tractor Supply, bought the big coop, everything, and went from there. And I was doing embryology at the time, but I was doing it virtual because I was teaching virtually. So these pictures in the past are the next year. But I did a grant also with Going Local. We work with 4-H, and they do the chickens. With my grant, we've hatched ducks. This year we're hatching geese. We look to hatch 12 next year. And the money that we raise for the ones that we hatch, we throw, and I'll show you a picture in a minute, but we throw a birthday party for the chickens. And so that funds that. But we've made omelets. Today, we dissected egg parts. The picture in the top left corner and the picture in the bottom right corner are students from this year looking at eggs to find the difference between a fertilized and a non-fertilized egg. Also at the end, after the chickens have hatched, I'm one of those people that we open up what didn't hatch and we try to find where they quit growing. We call them quitters, where they quit growing. And again, I send a note home if kids don't want to do it. They don't have to come in the classroom, but usually I have almost everybody in there. But here I pull in pages on Apple, and we had a diagram, and they got to pull in the things, and then the bottom part you can't really see, but they get to then draw their own egg diagram and label the parts. We did that today. I did it with all 3 classrooms in my classroom, and it went amazing. Like, I was very excited. It's probably the best it's been. There's some of the ducks we've hatched. They're very cute, but very messy and stinky. And here is like our hatch day party. So we have happy birthday, and we have cupcakes, drinks, all the good stuff. I always read one of my favorite chicken books, and it's just a time to celebrate, talk about what we've learned, and just have fun, which they need that, a little bit of that. If you want to come, April 1st, we're going to be doing it at 9 o'clock. I believe it's 9 o'clock in the morning at Gooch in the cafeteria. So if you would like to come to our chicken hatch day party and see kind of what we do and what the kids do. We won't have chickens in the lunchroom, but you're welcome to go to our classroom to see the chickens if you want. But I could talk about chickens all day long. This is my thing, and this is why I think I've gotten so much into the ag part. So what's next, what I want to do, fixing up our growing, our strawberry garden, doing the peanut pots in the plant. Next year I really want to hatch quail. The reason I like to do the different poultry is because it takes different amounts of time. And so the kids like seeing that. I really try to work with my local community members, Lakeview Nursery. I've worked with Kelly Bean from Triple Blue Farms. She supplied our geese eggs and some of our chicken eggs this year. Farm Bureau members, Jeff Vance, Rodney Buchanan, the Wilson family. The 4-H agents, Aaron and Aaron, are both great. Spelco Court Score. And the ag mags for North Carolina Ag in the Classroom, any grade level, are amazing. And they do different commodities every year. And they also do some of the agriculture jobs in the workforce. But that's one of the things that got me doing more. And they have great websites, great videos. And that's my Ag in the Classroom and why I love it so much.
Chris.
So also, what Kristen didn't say is she gets to go to Minnesota this summer as part of the Ag Classroom with a group from North Carolina. So that's very exciting for her. And I just want to say we're very proud of her. She got a plaque and everything last week when they presented her with the award, but this is just something for you from us, and we're very proud of you. And we can't wait for the egg hatching party. So.
Now, we're not going to come on April Fool's Day.
No, well, this is like I feel like to be a surprise, and so I'm like, well, it's perfect this year. We can be like, guys, we got to go to the cafeteria, and I don't know what I'll make up, and then we'll go in April Fool. So I'm excited. It's
But I just make sure, since you had omelets and Sarah with F&F and that Aaron was there making omelets,
yeah, we did omelets.
are you having chicken nuggets on?
We'll talk to you about that.
Kristen, thank you. Amber, thank you.
Thank you.
Item B, we talked about the local budget request, and we thought we'd have the meeting 2 and 2 but we didn't approve it, but we have that Monday. So if it'd be okay at the board, we just go ahead and approve pending Monday's review request, that'd be okay, Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay. I think everybody was in agreement last time.
Yeah.
Just make it official.
So with that, we need to,
Back up, can we read what that was again, Brandon?
if you don't mind to.
It was, $860,976, $750 of that was in the money from last year. But the justification of that was for pre-K, the STEAM teacher and supplies, for band and library, and the shortage in child nutrition, PC and transportation.
We're gonna ask for that to be reoccurred. That's it.
Yes, sir.
And not to. I'm trying to think how to ask this for that, I'm not trying to open that back up a whole lot for discussion, but just for my understanding, when we look at that, with that money coming from local government, that will count towards our low wealth formula.
Yes, it should help not next year, but
But
the year
following
after, it's all
year after.
runs,
Yeah.
a year behind. But, yeah.
And how, what would be do you know off the top of your head roughly what the difference between our request this year would be compared to last year as far as that?
It would be $110,976 more.
Yeah. So, I think that's the ultimate goal, is trying to maximize that formula too. with
Definitely.
that. Yeah. Any other questions or about the local budget request? We have a motion to approve that pending our, 2-on-2 meeting.
And then,
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
when's our presentation, Brett? Is it May the,
May 8th.
is it 8? Calendar.
I'll take your word for it, Al.
Yes. And I've not heard a time, official time yet.
I think they're starting
Y'all
like,
meet with May, it's y'all and May and somebody else.
Yes,
yeah, and they start like at 4 o'clock, but I don't think they've
I
set
don't know
the
which one's
agenda.
theirs.
Yeah.
You're first. Or whatever time they start, I think you're first.
Okay.
We're first.
Okay.
4 o'clock.
Do what?
4 o'clock.
Still looking at the statement of the Helene recovery request. If y'all saw today, I believe it's today, is it today or yesterday? The governor signed that disaster bill. It does include some things we asked for in there. It does include a summer program. Not really impressed with the amount of funding that's in there. There's $20,000 base, and then the remainder of the $9 million after the base is taken out for each. I believe it's 13 systems, and then the remainder will be divided among ADM for kids in grades 4 through 8. So they didn't address high school.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's already a separate funding for 3rd graders through the Region Achieve. So it's just for 4 through 8. I'm not really sure why they left out high school, but that's the way the bill read. Also, there's provision in there, and we've got to dive into that a little bit more. I looked at it a little bit today. It doesn't really specify, so I figured we're going to get some guidance from DPI on the days we miss for Helene, but also the weather dates we miss. The way I read it, and I don't know, John, if you read it yet or not, the way I read it is we could apply for child nutrition reimbursement even though we didn't go to school on those days. So what we would do, the way I read the bill, and again, it's just me reading it, I wait on guidance to get 100% on that, but the way I read it is we would take an average of what we get per day, and then we submit that, and then they would reimburse us for that for the days we missed because of weather all the way through February. It would include any days in March, but it would include through February, which there's a lot of weather days we miss.
Yeah.
I don't know if that also includes 2-hour delays where we miss out on a lot of breakfast or not, but we'll submit it and see, or I'm sure there'll be guidance to see. But Heather was excited that was a provision that was in there too. Did not see anything with transportation in. I know we'd asked about extra transportation funding, but I may have just missed that. The child nutrition was in a different part of the summer school too, so I tried to read through it today because there's a lot going on. So I may have missed the transportation, but I didn't see it and I did scan it twice and didn't see it, but I'll dig a little bit more tomorrow.
Well, like that child nutrition is part of that, depending, as far as like it being in the state bill, but part of that goes back to what the feds allow for too, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
so-
Yeah. It should.
Yeah, so,
And it's, again, it's just for those 13 counties too.
yeah.
Chad, I've got that bill where now session law open, and it says, here, it says for any instructional days or equivalent hours missed or due to inclement weather between December and February. So post-Elaine, like we're talking about, the governing board, this board may, one, make up any number of the instructional days or equivalent hours missed, two, deem as completed any number of the instructional days or equivalent hours missed at a total of 10 days. You can kind of forgive them if you want to. Or three, implement a combination of the two above. And then it does talk about compensation. If you deem them to have worked, it sounds like they will sort of be deemed to have worked any days within that period. And there is discussion about how the sort of the child nutrition aspect will get made up. So I think what you said is how it reads to me too.
That's the way I read it.
Yeah.
I figured that what we got is coming out, but that's the way I interpreted it today.
There would have to be, because I'm assuming that it's not a direct appropriation, that it still flows through DPI, so
Yeah,
they'll have to have some kind of process for me to tell them what we did.
yeah. I figured there'd be an application, Heather will have to go in and enter the amounts in.
Right.
I assume they'll break that back down by department at DPI.
Yeah.
Their child nutrition will send that form out, and then Heather will fill it out, which that would be great news to us, because I mean, we miss, I'd have to look back exactly, but December, January, and February, I know we missed around 31 snow days total. I don't know if they were all those ones, probably were, but that would help us tremendously. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a
Oh,
month
it's-
high.
yeah.
So that would definitely help us. That was good news. John, did you see anything about transportation in there? I didn't spot anything.
No, I don't.
I was hoping that would be addressed too, but I didn't see that in there at all. But I felt like that was good news.
Mm-hmm.
Any other question on that? Federal budget update, still again, there's no change there. I know you read the story in the news that it would take an act of Congress to change your Title I funding and all that. Nothing that has changed. It might be under a different agency in the future, but the funding will still be there unless Congress were to change that. Right now is budget season. And that's what they're discussing at Raleigh. We did go over with the central office and with the principals, some of the bills that are out there that aren't passed. You hate to comment on them when they're not passed yet, because I mean, they put a lot of things out there that scare you sometimes, and then some things look good. But I really don't like to comment at a board meeting until we see what's going to be out there.
Yeah.
But we are keeping an eye on them. I do go to Raleigh next week to the NCASA. I do 2 presentations there, but I also have a legislative day. I'll be meeting with all the legislators. I believe that's Wednesday. I'll be meeting with all the legislators on that day, so hopefully I can get some ideas of what's going on and what's happening.
Yeah.
Any questions about either? And nothing to vote on there. Item D, social media and public relations. You've seen a lot in the last week or two from social media how the school system tends to get bashed, and I'll assure you, even though you read all the news on social media, nothing has been ever swept under the rug during my administration. Since I've been superintendent, everything has been investigated, everything's been followed, and I always run it by our attorneys. Everything that is legal or needs to be reported legal, I get legal advice on that. So I just wanted to assure the board on that. Nothing's swept under the rug. Everything's investigated fully. And there's some things I can share with you in closed session since it's privileged to just a certain student tonight. I can give you some information on it. But even though you hear that, we fought hard to try to do the right thing and keep all kids safe. And we would put out, if we felt like if there was kids in danger, we would communicate that out. But we're not going to cause a panic when there's not students in danger. And sometimes you can put things out that would cause a student to be in danger. And that's the reason we don't. So, been a tough couple of weeks, but it is what it is, and that's what we do. So, we love kids, and we always do what's the best for kids. Item E, overnight field trips, the wrestling summer camp, ASU, June 23rd, 24th. Regional Golf Championship, Charlotte, May 4th and 5th. State Golf Championship, Pinehurst, May 10th through the 13th. And then we had a correction date on one you've already approved. I was just going to inform you of that. It was the drama to New York City that you all approved last time for March and April. They decided to wait until August the 4th through the 7th to go. You'd approved it, but I wanted to let y'all know that they just changed the date on it. And I don't think, unless y'all want to go back there, we can just leave that as approved. Okay. And just need a motion to approve those, please.
I have a motion to approve the wrestling summer camp at ASU, Regional Golf Championship of Charlotte, and State Golf Championship of Pinehurst.
I make such a motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Next is Mr. Heston's athletic complex and field update.
So the athletic complex is fully under the roof now. Block work continues, but almost all of the block is about halfway up, all the way around. They seem to be able to work even on some of the wet days, which is pretty impressive. They're making quite a nice headway to getting that job complete. Our fields, the softball field is ready now for it's at grade and it's ready for turf. As soon as our turf guys can get down to it, they run into a snag at the baseball field because the crusher stopped crushing, and so we run out of gravel. So 2 nights this week, one night due to power outage, and the other night due to randomness, we don't know why. They were able to get the infield covered in gravel. They hope to have turf down by the end of the weekend, and now they've had to push it back to next Friday. So we're hoping to get our kids on that baseball field by the first week of April to have their first home game in baseball. Overall, I will say that Noah's been great communicating and letting us know when they run into situations that are outside their scope and what they can do. But we don't want to haul gravel from Madison County or Marion because the haul bill would be much more than we would have money for. So, as far as the RFQ for the central office, we did receive that from John this week. We have that out on social media, or actually on our website. And we've also sent to any company that had inquired about it. So that has been released.
With that, Kevin, with the central office remodeling and all that, it'd be real helpful if we could just make sure that it gets out in the public that why we're having to do this, and why it's going the way it's going, because of the age and the wires, and just so people understand.
And then we got a grant to do it. And that we got a grant to do it.
Yeah, and there's a grant to do it, and so it just so people understand that that's how it's going.
It's not taxpayer money. It's lottery grant money.
Yes.
So we've got a kind of a window of opportunity to do that, because I don't know that and maybe you all sent it back to Ashton, my paralegal, but I think I asked if you were good with the dates that were on there, but we haven't published it yet. I think we still can and should, and we will, and I think we can still run with the dates we already had, and it's fine. So I can add to it that it's grant funded, and I'll see what I can do to add a little reference to the need for it in the.
Okay.
And with what you're saying, I think maybe even some information on the website and social media, that type of thing, as far as hearing on their side and getting that out there.
Just somebody that understands instead of just saying, you had a perfectly, why are you doing this? Just so people know.
They're still gonna say that.
I know. But just so they understand.
It's not absolutely legally required that you advertise. It's one of those announced type things when you have an architect or engineer or similar thing, because we're not advertising for bids. But it does say announce your need and try to get at least 3 responses, and if you don't have 3, you gotta announce it again. So it's safer than sorry to just to put it in your local paper. So it does also give you the opportunity to spread that word a little bit. We run it in the Asheville Citizen, Times, and the state historically in the U.S. Business Office. So there's a few different places that will get around, and hopefully folks will learn something about it rather than just opine because they can, but you know, it doesn't happen enough these days.
We don't need to prove anything, I think, John.
No, I don't think so. Because I think last time I think the board gave us authority to go ahead and move forward. Actually, I think I did send you the resolution to re-adopt, because we had the resolution with the criteria on it. And I didn't know it wasn't attached because I wasn't looking at the right agenda. We can handle it the next meeting. I mean, I think we got legally adequate direction from the board to move ahead with it. And they did have an existing set of criteria for doing design build, but by next meeting, just to ratify the whole thing, I'd like to have us do that.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm going to jump back up. I did forget to mention one thing on item D up under social media and public relations. Just to make you aware, since we have a newspaper in here, and I'm glad our newspaper does seek to get the truth, unlike some others that posted a Mitchell County Schools employee was charged. That was false. We did contact the senior editor and asked that be changed, and they did change it. It had been posted several times on social media incorrectly, but it was changed finally to be correct. And I did comment. I did not say would not comment. That was not true. I did comment, and they did change that in the message too. So it's a little frustrating when you actually take the time to respond to a news organization, and then they quote you incorrectly, or they put you didn't comment, or I refused to comment, but yet I did, because I had an email and share that with anybody, and then put this headline of the story is totally wrong. But I appreciate our local newspaper doing a good job of not doing that. So.
And I would just challenge anybody to just picture if you owned a business and somebody that you employed for a day and a half 7 years ago did something and got in trouble, and the headline was, "That's your ex-employee," you would not feel like you were being fairly represented, and that's what happened. So it's just not okay.
And next thing, personnel and closed session.
That motion, we move in closed session for personnel and legal.
Make such a motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.